as you may or may not be aware, there are currently several campaigns going on with the intention of fighting back against Nintendo, the anti-consumer practices they've been engaging with, the allegedly fraudulent lawsuits they've been engaging with, the allegedly fraudulent patents that they've been filing, as well as just the way that the Nintendo company and Nintendo of America have been acting in general and behaving in regards to their consumers in general. And I'm about to go over the three that I am aware of, because each one of these targets it in a different way. It targets Nintendo and targets Nintendo of America in a different way. And I think that's very interesting that, you know, these three campaigns all looked at what Nintendo was doing and said, I'm going to go after them, but I'm going to go after them this way, and came up with unique solutions to do so. So one of the first ones I'm going to go over is the Gaming Consumer Rights Group. Gaming Consumer Rights, if you go to gamingconsumerrights.org, you'll access them, and they had started the hashtag boycott Nintendo. I'm sure it's not the first time hashtag boycott Nintendo has been started. What is going on with my hair right now? I'm sure it's not the first time hashtag boycott Nintendo has been started, but they are currently actively boycotting Nintendo and trying to drive the change and drive the activism to boycott Nintendo. And very interestingly, I had planned on talking about them already when I was planning out this video and doing the research to see what groups there are. And then this morning, they emailed me and asked if we wanted to collaborate. And I said, yeah, of course, obviously I want to collaborate. I'm willing to help out however needs to be done. I'm still very tired. I'm sorry. I'm still recovering from several days of lack of sleep. But the Gaming Consumer Rights Group and Boycott Nintendo is going after Nintendo through their wallet, which is probably one of the more effectual ways to drive change in Nintendo, is cost them money. It's also, I think, going to be one of the harder ones to actually make happen in an effectual way, and I'll get into that. But I really like what they're doing. And it's not a fault of theirs why it's going to be one of the harder ones to do. It's a fault of society's why it's going to be one of the harder ones to do. Effectively, the methodology, the goal as I understand it, of Gaming Consumer Rights, gamingconsumerrights.org, and the hashtag boycott Nintendo campaign is effectively to compel Nintendo to change their anti-consumer business practices by targeting their wallets. That's the goal, at least from my understanding. Force Nintendo, or at least the Nintendo shareholders, to force Nintendo to change the way that they have been interacting with consumers based off of losing money. Effectively stop them from engaging in a lot of these shady tactics against consumers, get them to stop raising the prices on things, stop going after the modding community, stop going after a bunch of different stuff, change how they're interacting with their audience, with their consumers, with their customers, by denying them access to money. The methodology they are going about doing this it's pretty robust. If you go on their website and you go on the support section of their website, you can see that they have organized boycotts of Nintendo products, but not only boycotts of Nintendo products, they've also organized planned protests of Nintendo products. One of them is at like Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con, where they have organized an actual boycott-related protest to get their voices heard and to speak out against Nintendo. They are also trying to organize the contacting of the appropriate representatives, your legal representative, your congressman, your senator, and discussing with them or writing letters to them discussing the concept of right to repair, planned obsolescence, and the various other anti-consumer practices that Nintendo has been engaging with. And right to repair it's pretty broad, but basically it's the fact that you own your product, you should be allowed to repair it, you should be allowed to fix it, you should be allowed to modify it. Planned obsolescence is the fact that a lot of these companies, and in some states and in the EU, I believe, has been deemed illegal, the practice of intentionally withdrawing support from a product to compel users to buy a new product, or in even worse cases, and I believe in the EU it might have been shown that Apple was doing this, where they release updates that intentionally downgrade older iPhones, or at least they apparently, supposedly, allegedly used to and have stopped doing it since, that intentionally slow down older iPhones so that you will think your iPhone isn't working as well, so you'll go and buy the newest iPhone. It's effectively that practice. But one of the methodologies is letter writing campaigns, contacting representatives saying, hey, you guys need to move on this. You guys need to enact a legislation that is going to change this. They are also, I'm sorry if I'm talking fast, I'm trying to get through all these these very fast so it's not another 30-minute video. One of the other things is encouraging people to call out hypocrisy when they see it. And this is going to get to why I think that this one might be the harder one to actually get traction on, because what they are saying is if you see, your favorite content creator that's been speaking out against Nintendo suddenly start buying Nintendo products and playing Nintendo games, call them out, withdraw their support from them. If you see your friends that have been talking crap about Nintendo and saying, oh my god, this is so shady, this is so gross, we shouldn't buy any of their products, but they're like, but I really want to play the new Pokemon game, call them out. Tell them that they're being a hypocrite. Use that little bit of like social pressure you have to say, listen, you have this moral belief, apparently, that what Nintendo is doing is wrong, but you lack the integrity to follow through with that moral belief because you want to play your new favorite game kind of thing. And that is detrimental to the cause, because until Nintendo realizes and sees that people are going to stop buying their products if they keep these shady products, and until people are actually going to stop buying their products until they stop doing these shady practices, it's not going to be any change. So I think that is a really good method to kind of target that by adding that social pressure to the aspect. One of the things I've said in the past is we get a lot of people saying, let's boycott Nintendo, let's not buy any of their products, but the new Pokemon game just dropped, the new Mario game just dropped, the new Legend of Zelda game just dropped, well, it's only one purchase, blah, 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 and end up supporting Nintendo because they lack the integrity. And I realize I'm being harsh, but integrity means everything to me. They lack the integrity to hold to their convictions in the face of a minor inconvenience, that minor inconvenience being not being able to play Nintendo games. There's plenty of other video games out there for you to play. You don't need to play the Nintendo ones. Vote with your wallet and tell Nintendo that you're not okay with what they're doing. They're also, one of their methodologies that they have on their list under how to support is effectively using social media to discuss consumer rights and get your voices heard, make content about it, make memes about it, join online boycott groups, make the voice be heard more and more. And this will kind of play a little bit too into the other campaign that I'm going to talk about that's going on, because it's creating a social pressure on Nintendo to change their actions and creating a lot of bad press for them. The more bad press is made for them, the more that people are seeing the shady stuff that they're doing and responding to it, the more likely that even if it's just to save face and save their public image, which is going slowly down the drain as it is, they might be willing to, or they might decide to enact these changes to see, look, we heard your voices, we're going to do something about it. They also said share flyers about the issues of public spaces. They have a download list for flyers that you can get and print out and place, like if you have a college message board or something like that, or an actual like cork board at one of your local places, at a coffee shop, wherever it is, share them out, get the word out a little bit more, just get more and more people understanding what is going on. And boycotting Nintendo, but also it kind of plays into what the second campaign I'm going to be talking about is. And finally, file anti-repair notices if you are in an area that has right to repair. Not every state in the United States has right to repair. I think it's like 6 of them actually have codified, I might be wrong in that number, actually have codified right to repair laws in those states. There's other states that are discussing right to repair laws. The legislation might be enacted. That's kind of part of what the Contact Your Representatives is also about. Get some of these laws passed, including right to repair laws. But if you are in one of those states, file, and you have the standing to do so, that has a right to repair law, file anti-repair notices if you're aware of instances of Nintendo going against the right to repair law. Get some more of that legal pressure on them. But that is the Game and Consumer Rights campaign, the hashtag Boycott Nintendo campaign. The second one I'm going to go into is Legal Mindset's campaign. Now, Legal Mindset is someone that I have been getting a lot of comments saying, hey, you should reach out to him. He's working on something like this. He's working on fighting back against Nintendo. You guys should collab with something. So I did reach out to him, and I sent him an email the other morning, like Tuesday morning, I think it was. I sent him an email and said, hey, I've been having a lot of people come and say, hey, I should reach out to you and that we should collab on this. Would you like to collab? And he replied that, yeah, he's interested in collabing. So I'm waiting to close the details on that and figuring out how we're going to go about hopefully collabing. Hopefully he's still interested in it, but hopefully collabing together. But he has started a different campaign. His campaign is a social media and meme warfare campaign targeting the egos and the public image of Nintendo, and not necessarily of Nintendo specifically, but he's talking about going after the Pokemon Company International, not because necessarily the Pokemon Company International has done anything wrong, but because the Pokemon Company International is apparently very publicity shy, and according to the former CLO for them, they very much just want to stay out of the public eye. They want to just let the brand be the brand, and let this likely are what the former CLO's commentary on it was that essentially what the Pokemon Company International was probably hoping for is that this is all going to blow over in a week. That people are going to lose interest in this this issue and they're going to forget about it. So what Legal Mindset has started is a social media and meme warfare campaign to basically say, not only are we going to forget about this, but the longer you don't do anything about this, the longer you don't put a kibosh on the actions, or at least take action to put a kibosh on the action that Nintendo is engaging in and Nintendo of America is engaging in, the worse and worse this is going to look for the Pokemon Company. So you should probably do something about it. You should probably use whatever power and sway you have with them to do something about it, because it's going to look bad for you if you don't. Their goals, as stated in the Legal Mindset video, is to settle the lawsuit amicably with Palworld. And he admits in that, like, hey, a settlement takes two sides. So at least do your best, take your best effort to get Pocket Pair to come to the table and settle this lawsuit. Now, to my mind, morally, ethically, legally, whatever, I feel like settling the lawsuit amicably is dropping the lawsuit, because I don't think there's anything that Pocket Pair should be reasonably asked to give at this point. They've already given enough with the lawyer fees they have no doubt incurred for this, what I'm going to say is an allegedly fraudulent lawsuit and patent trolling. Their other goal is cease the lawfare against the modding community. So get the Pokemon Company International to get Nintendo to stop going after mod teams and game mods and the game mod developers, because it is slowly destroying the modding community. And there's a lot of games out there, and it's seeming more and more like Nintendo just wants mods to not be a thing at all anymore. So with some of the statements that they're making, it seems like they're trying to get rid of now. They're probably more specifically focused on the mods that are for games that are theirs, or the mods that add elements of their games into other games. But it's seeming more and more like they're just like, yeah, no, mods just shouldn't exist at all. Ceasing the lawfare against the modding community, stopping them from sending DMCA notices, stopping them from threatening legal action against mod teams, who are usually like one or two dudes that are trying to make a game better. And for a lot of games, modding is at the heart of those games. Modding is why those games are as successful as they are. Bethesda games, at the heart of a lot of Bethesda games is their mod support. The fact that you can take the game, take the framework of the game they played, and then mod it to make it just so much more expansive. Stop them from going after mod teams in the modding community. Cease the patent trolling behavior, basically using the acquiring of broad patents to go after anyone that makes a game within the genre. The fact that they have that very broad patent that seems to be going after the entire concept of the creature capture genre, and the fact that they make these patents so broad, so vague, and so unreadable, which is a grounds for patent devalidation. If we get into, I'll go into that a little bit more when I get to the final section of this, but make them so broad that they are covering the entire genre, and they can go after all these small devs, these indie devs that don't have the legal resources to fight them, to basically control the genre of creature capture games, which is pathetic. How about you make a better game instead of just trying to destroy competition through lawfare? And then finally, the goal is to have them focus on creating good games and a positive community, is what it is. Rather than, it's like what I just said, rather than going after other games that represent competition legally, go after them in the marketplace, man. Build a better game. Create a game that is more enjoyable than the competition's game, and you're going to win out. How about do that instead of just rehashing the same garbage every fucking year? And again, specifically, this is targeting the Pokemon Company International, but targeting the Pokemon Company International so that they use their pressure to fight Nintendo. Because the Pokemon Company International is not the one that's really engaging in a lot of these lawsuits. It's Nintendo with the Pokemon Company. And the methodology that he is choosing to use to go after them is social media and meme warfare, which is very interesting because, like I said, the first one is targeting Nintendo's wallets. This one is targeting Nintendo's pride, ego, and public image. It's really targeting the Pokemon Company International's pride, ego, and public image, but it's using that social pressure. It's using the ego, the image, the publicity to fight them rather than the legal system or the marketplace, which is another interesting way to go after this. So it's a social media and meme warfare campaign. Create videos criticizing them. Create memes criticizing them. Tag them on social media with these tags. I'm not going to read the kanji for this. My Japanese is not that good anymore. But the other one is hashtag Kabushiki Gaisha Pokemon, which is one of the names of the Pokemon Company when the kanji version of it, the Japanese version of it, is written in Romanji. Is it Romanji? In the English alphabet. So using these tags to one, get the Pokemon Company International's eyes on it even more, and to let them know that this is not going to drop. This is not going to something that's just going to go away, that's just going to fade away, that they're going to forget about. It's being talked about more and more as time is going on, and like I just said, to keep this going so that they recognize that it won't die down. The former CLO for the Pokemon Company International said that they are probably just hoping that this is going to fade away in a few days. Let's show them that it's not going to fade away in a few days. We won't go gentle into that good night, that until they actually cause change, or at least make an active effort to cause change, this is not going to stop. Now, finally, and again, I'm sorry I'm talking real fast. I am already at 18 minutes, and I still have one more to go through, and that is my campaign. The campaign that started with the change.org petition, Stop the Abuse and Misuse of Patent Law by Video Game Developers. I'm going with hashtag Stop Video Game Patents and hashtag Don't Patent Art, or just hashtag Stop Game Patents. So the three hashtags I'm going to use are going to be associated with this campaign. The short-term goal of my campaign, the short-term, the one I'm working on right now, is to get as many of the patents and patent claims that Nintendo filed in the US invalidated. I discussed that in a previous video over there, the video where I talk about using inter parts review or a post-grant review to potentially go after the patents that they have filed in the United States, get them devalidated. And that feeds into, one, that's the first step. The hope is that by doing that, it will start some change. That long-term goal is to cause actual change in patent law in the United States to prevent things like video game patents or video game mechanics from being able to be patented to begin with, and to harshly punish those who filed like fraudulent patents intentionally. So if Nintendo goes after and says, I'm going to file another fraudulent patent and I'm going to do this anyways, don't just devalidate their patent, don't just deny their patent, but actually punish them. Give them some serious punishment that's actually going to cause them to not want to do that anymore. The methodologies that I am taking in order to do this, for the short-term goal for getting the patents that Nintendo filed for in the US invalidated, I talked about in a few of the previous videos, so I'm going to go over it really fast here, but basically gathering data of prior art for the claims that they are making in these different patents, and initiate either a PGR or an IPR, post-grant review, or inter parts review with the USPTO, US Patent and Trademark Office, to hopefully get the ball rolling on getting those patents devalidated, and hopefully that will help feed into set precedent. One, if it causes enough public scrutiny and enough people to be looking at the US Patent and Trademark Office and being like, hey, why did this get passed anyways? It might get them to actually review their process of granting patents to get a little bit of the public pressure off of them, but also hopefully to set kind of a precedent in future cases where this happened, where now this can be cited as a case where patents were shot down for this reason, so other patents that are allegedly or likely to be fraudulent or misfiled or prior art or whatever can also be shot down using that same methodology and using this as a precedent for that. As well, for the goals, for the long-term goals of causing actual change in patent law to prevent things like video game mechanics from being patented, the easiest step, the least effectual step, but the easiest step, sign the change.org petition that's going to be linked in the description and in the pinned comment. It is the change.org petition for Stop the Abuse and Misuse of Patent Law by Video Game Developers. Get your voices heard, use social media, use the tags that Legal Mindset came up with. Use my tags, don't patent art, hashtag don't patent art, hashtag stop video game patents, and hashtag stop game patents. Get more eyes on this. Get more people talking about this. Hopefully that gets into some congressman's ears, but at least says that we have things that we want. And then what I want to do is I want to work with an IP lawyer and an experienced game dev, and I want to go through the actual patent law and come up with requested changes, like this is how we want the verbiage changed, or this is verbiage that we want added, using both the appropriate legalese and tech jargon to make it so that there is codified in patent law that it is illegal to patent things as broad as a game mechanic, or like in actually codified in law, not up for interpretation kind of thing, making it illegal to patent things as simple or as broad as a game mechanic, things that are basically ideas, because they are slipping it past on nuance right now. They're slipping it past on a lot of BS right now. And if we get it codified into law, then bam, now not only are they doing this through shadiness, they're breaking the law. And I want that specific wording in there. And once I've been able to do that, once we have gotten the IP lawyer and the game dev and me, and we get together and probably more so those two at that point, whoever those two are, and look at the law and come up with this is what we want changed, starting a letter writing campaign, similar to the way that the Game and Consumer Rights Group is trying to do. Start a letter writing campaign. Get a list of all the I will publish a list of hey, these are your state congressmen, state senators, or these are your representatives, and blah 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 within each individual state. Write your representative. Use this format. Use this thing that we have helped prepared of what we actually want to change, so that there is consistency and unity, and also so that we don't get people in there just saying, hey, Mr. Congressman, F you, and kind of making the movement look bad. But begin that campaign of letter writing campaign to get more congressmen involved, more senators involved, actual lawmakers and decision makers involved to affecting change in this area. After that, one of the things I would kind of like added to U.S. patent law, and maybe there is something like this. I haven't been able to find it, but maybe I just don't know what I'm looking for, because again, I'm not an expert in any of this. I've never claimed to be an expert in any of this. I'm just some dude online that's passionate about it and trying to do my research as best as possible, but I'll admit I'm wrong sometimes. There's probably good times I'm wrong, or I'm misunderstanding something. But one thing I would like added to the U.S. patent law or the U.S. Patent Trademark Office as a process thing is some system where you can announce prior art. You can say, hey, I don't want to file a patent for this. I don't want to file a patent for this thing that I'm talking about, or maybe I just don't have the money to file a patent for this thing that I'm talking about, but I want to submit to the U.S. Patent Office this thing to exist as prior art, because what we've seen, and I've showed in previous videos, and from that IP Frey or Games Frey, I don't remember which one it was, article, where they pulled up the actual review process for when Nintendo submitted one of their patents, the only thing they seem to check is the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office database. So if there's not something in their database to say that there is prior art, they have no way of knowing that there is prior art. So there needs to be a system in place where you can say, hey, I created this thing. I created this piece of technology, this development, this mechanic. I don't want to patent it. I don't want to be that petty, but I want it to be known that I created it so no one else can try to patent it in the future. So then there's an actual searchable thing in the USPTO database. And if that doesn't work, I'm genuinely considering this would be a major undertaking. But if all that doesn't work, patent law doesn't change, they don't do anything, they don't respond to it, they deny it, I would consider taking a lot of this data that I'm already going to hopefully get from my campaign and creating a searchable internet database for every game mechanic possible, the game that it originated in, or at least one of the earliest games we can find that originated in, and the date that that game was released, because then, based on the IPR process, which requires the data to be in a printed publication, there will be a text-based publication that can come out, and I'll have it printed out and submitted to the Library of Congress or whatever, an actual text-based publication that is searchable and would display every mechanic, so that the next time someone tries to go and patent a game mechanic, it'll be like, nope, prior art right there, easy to search, you should have looked for it, bam, easy day. That one, I really hope the representatives respond in law changes, because that would be a major undertaking, and that would probably be something where I'm like, hey guys, let's get a GoFundMe together and hire a team to do this, because that one's going to take a lot of work. But with that, one of the ways that you can support my campaign, one, sign the petition that's going to be in the pinned comment in the description, but also there's going to be a Google form link that is going to be in the pinned comment and in the description. Fill that out. Provide examples of prior art that you are aware of that happened ideally before December 22nd of 2020 that is related to the claims and the patents that are currently being used by Nintendo and that they got in the United States. I also link those patents in the Google form if you want to look at them a little bit more in depth. And I got some comments, some people saying, hey, you should start a Discord to discuss this. I am hesitant. I want to get a website started at the very least, but I am hesitant to start a Discord just because it's going to be a lot of management. There's going to be a lot of moderation that needs to happen there, because I know some people are going to get real out of hand. If there's enough interest in a Discord for this so that people can discuss it, they can submit ideas, they can just talk about it, they can scream about how angry they are together, then I will. So if you're interested, leave a thing under the pinned comment saying that you'll be interested in the Discord, and I might get a Discord started for this. But that is the end of this video. It still went for almost 30 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up real quick. Please, if you can, like, comment, and share this video. Also leave a hype if you're able to. Every little bit of engagement helps the video grow, and the more people that see this, the more effective it will be, and the more we can get done with this. If you're interested in helping the channel very directly, please sign up for memberships down there. the information's down there. 100% of the money that goes from the memberships is going to go straight to my editor until it reaches such a point that I can afford to hire him on full time, at which point we'll diversify a little bit, probably hire on more people to help me out. And on a personal level, it would legitimately mean a whole lot if you can click on the playlist that is over there. That is for my storytelling channel. That is where I am reposting a lot of the stories that were previously on this channel, and I am going to, and any news stories that I tell during stream or whatever are going to be posted on that channel. Please go there, give it a watch, give that channel a subscribe. I'd really love for that channel to take off. It's something that I really, really enjoy doing, but then just YouTube doesn't like channels that have variety, so I had to kind of stop doing it on this channel and take those videos down and repost them over there. It's something I really enjoy doing, so that would help me out a lot. Also, I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, 2 to 8 p.m. US Eastern Time. I stream on Twitch. Currently, it says that I stream on this channel, but I'm going to change that to my Runga Live channel is where I'm going to start putting the streams on, just to get a little bit more organized. But with that, goodbye, have a nice day, and fuck Nintendo. A very cool moment for me. I get to give my very first shout out to my very first Tier 3 member, Box Wizard 52, who signed up with the Hey tier. I need to come up with better names for that, and is therefore helping support me to pay my editor and be able to put out more content more often, and that's very awesome. So thank you, Box Wizard 52.